Tell us about the importance of casting actors for who they are as a person, not just strictly on their acting ability.
Well, that's not my theory. That comes from Melly Finn, who was a casting director who cast a lot of like James Cameron's movies, Titanic and Terminator and Elephant for Gus Van Sant and LA Confidential and all those movies. And her theory was not to cast actors for their acting abilities, but for who they really are as people, which to me was revolutionary, because she said that when they're tired or they run out of ideas or they are stressed, they will always go back to who they really are at their core, as people. And if you can figure that out in the 15 minutes that you have with them during the casting, during the audition, then you kind of know which components you're putting together, you're putting your cast together of, that it's like this group of people, this puzzle piece that you're putting together, and you're not taking the risk that you are otherwise taking, where you are spending 4 weeks together with them and they have to spend 4 weeks together, and if it turns out that they hate each other after a week, you're kind of screwed, because you won't be able to create chemistry, all that. So you really have to get to who they really are. And what I did with Necessary Death, and then later with the next movie too, was that I'm putting myself into the waiting room and I'm pretending to be one of the actors waiting to go in, and the actors that are waiting, they want to prepare and they're in their zone. So the last thing they want is for the person next to them to go like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And you really, by their reaction to that, by me getting on their nerves, you really can tell a lot already of who they are, how patient they are, how generous they are. Because there are people that will be very rude and say, "Leave me alone," and I already know by the time that we're walking in that I don't want to work with them, because if they already don't have the patience for that, then they're not going to have the patience for me as a director and for their fellow actors and all that, So, and the other thing is that I think actors always behave differently once they know you're the director, So it's really the only 5 innocent minutes that you'll ever get with them before casting them, where they don't know that and you are their equal. So it's incredibly valuable, and a lot of directors that I talk to say the same thing, that they already have such a strong impression of someone before they even shake their hand for the first time, that they already basically know if they would work with that person as a person or not. I don't know if actors actually know that, how important that first moment is. If someone looks at you while they shake your hand, if someone is kind of trying to put on a show already before they even shake your hand, all that. And especially with our technique, because we didn't actually write out scenes, we didn't have written dialogue, we were improvising everything. So I knew that I needed people that were a little bit more eloquent than the average guy off the street, and people that could create a character on set. They were basically the co-writers, So you kind of look for different qualities. I think it's 2 completely different skill sets. We saw people that were great actors but could not improvise to save their lives, and there were great people for us that could really do an improv well but couldn't bring lines to life. It's like 2 completely different things, and because we knew we were just gonna improvise, we could completely concentrate on that. And then because we cast them the way that Melly Finn kind of taught me to cast them, they really became this family, because our shoot it was supposed to be 2 weeks, but then turned out to be 3 years, So if the chemistry between them hadn't been as solid as it was, we would never have survived those 3 years, because people just, one of them would have quit or whatever, and the whole thing would have fallen apart. So they really grew together as this family. And I think you feel that. A lot of what you feel in the film of this group coming together is what actually happened, because we could actually shoot in sequence, which is a huge benefit, because especially if you don't have it written out, the emotional arc of every single character was actually developed by them. It wasn't something that I was dictating, it's something that they did when they were working on their character. And it became them, and they were so involved in the whole thing because they were actually the writers of the whole thing. So I think a lot of that passion kind of carried us through the 3 years.